Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the Srimad Bhagavatam study. We are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam and we are in the sixth session. So, in the previous session, we have discussed about how Srimad Bhagavatam is so much glorified in other Puranas. It is the king of all the Puranas. There are beautiful descriptions about the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Bhagavatam purifies all of us, right? So, Bhagavatam has Bhagavat Mahatmya, is what we had understood. And in the previous sessions also we discussed that how the very first three verses describe about the sambandha, abhideya, and prayojana aspect of the spiritual life. And after that, we also discussed about the very interesting thing, and that is about the questions of the sages. The sages, the beautiful narration that happened between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami was captured by Sutta Goswami. And Sutacharya, who had heard directly from Shukdev Goswami, has now come to Naimisharanya. And in Naimisharanya, all the great sages are inquiring from Sutta Goswami, saying that, okay, you are the greatest and you have understood the essence of the scriptures. So, can you please describe to us what we are supposed to do in Kali Yuga? Right. So, this is a very interesting thing that they have asked. In fact, they had asked several questions that what is actually that will help us to progress in spiritual life. There are prescribed duties. Each one of us are bound by certain duties with respect to our psychophysical nature. Either we are Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. So, based on the kind of nature we have acquired, we all have a certain type of work, a certain specific work that we are supposed to do, right? So, how do we perform our actions? So, this is the different question that the devotees have asked, the sages of Naimisharanya have asked, and Sutta Goswami is now answering to them, and he also continues to talk about something very interesting. So, let us understand all of this in today's session. So, we have Lakshmi Mataji joining us from YouTube, and all others who have joined on YouTube. You can also say Hare Krishna, and let us, before we begin the session, let us chant the pranam mantras. Let's dedicate the session to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and my beloved spiritual master. So kindly join your palms and let's chant the pranam mantras. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Let's also chant the mantras before we actually study the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hare Krishna. So, welcome back, all of you, for today's discussion on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, when the sages have asked questions to Sutta Goswami, Sutta Goswami very beautifully says that if we want to attain perfection in prescribed duties or in our spiritual life, devotional service is the most important thing. Bhakti to Krishna and rendering practical devotional service to Krishna is the most important thing. If we can somehow engage in devotional service, then our perfection of human life is guaranteed. Now, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is pointing at this particular thing of devotional service. So, Bhagavad Gita is all about instructions. You should do this, you should not do this. You should meditate this way, you should not meditate that way. Right? Bhagavad Gita is all about instructions. Now, how to practically imbibe those instructions is spoken in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the devotees practically apply the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita and of all the scriptures and set an example for all of us how to practically apply these principles in our life. So that is what Srimad Bhagavatam is. So every time when we come, we have to discuss about certain practical application. And in this specific topic today, the discussion that we're having, it's about how the title itself says that we need to have the guidance in our life. Hmm? There is a certain power to having right guidance. When we have proper guidance from the superiors, automatically we progress very quickly. So that is the topic for today. So let us understand this very important thing. So now when Sutta Goswami was explaining about all these different aspects of devotional service. He has mentioned that devotional service is the most important thing. Simultaneously, now he brings out a very important aspect that how Krishna, I mean Vyasa, who has compiled so many things, Puranas, he has practically uh, all the Vedas, everything he has distributed, and we have briefly touched upon how Vyasa came into power, right? How did he actually come into existence? So the birth of Vyasa, we have discussed last time that how he was born to Parashar Muni and Satyavati. So both had a desire to have Krishna, the Supreme Lord, as their son. And Parashar Muni meets Satyavati on the banks of Yamuna. And uh, while she's helping Parashar Muni to cross the river in the boat, Parashar Muni immediately remembers her name, the divine inspiration that comes to him, and says, "Oh, you are Satyavati," because her name was Matsyagandha. But then slowly she understands and she immediately also, "Oh, how can he remember my name?" When he calls Satyavati, she remembers her previous life as a daughter of the Pitra Devatas. So, a lot of connections happen, and then finally they come together and they want to have a child. In fact, they got married in the presence of Brahma, and Vasishta was there. So, the Supreme Lord Vedvyasa was born. Right? His name is actually Krishna, but since he was born on the uh, island of Yamuna. That's why it's called Dvipa. He was born in a Dvipa. That's why it's called Krishna Dvaipayana. Hmm? And Krishna Dvaipayana, Vyasa is because he took one Veda and he nicely segregated. He structured the whole Vedas into four, and that is why it's called Vyasa. Vyasa means divide. So he divided one Veda into four. That's why he's called as Ved Vyasa. Krishna Dvaipayana Ved Vyasa. Okay. So now, all these are very great. And when he was born, not like he was born like a small baby, he was directly born as if he was a 16-year-old boy. And this is a very special thing. Even his son, Shukadev Goswami, even Vamana, they were all born like 8 to 16 years old children. So, no parenting problem only for their mothers or their fathers also, for that matter. No parenting problem. Directly, they were born like 6, 8 years and above. Generally children, small babies, it is very cumbersome to take care, because they are completely dependent on the parents, and parents have to take care of every aspect, right from their eating, cleaning, everything is a very big thing. And if you don't have help, it is for single mothers, or without any support, it becomes even more challenging. But these children like Vedivasa, Vamana, and Shukadev Goswami, they were directly born 8 and 16 years, and they were like fully free from parenting and self-realized. So uh, of course we cannot have this kind of children. Children are very special children. These are all very special children, self-realized children. Uh, so Vedivyasa, he understood this whole Vedas, and then he wrote everything in the Devanagari script. He introduced this basically. Devanagari script was introduced by Vedivyasa because people in Kali Yuga would not be able to understand just by listening. We understood last time about Shruti Dharas, right? Earlier people were not Shruti Dharas. Once they listen, and automatically they'll remember all throughout. But now in this Kali Yuga, people will not remember. That's why Vedivyasa had to write down everything. And he called Ganesha to write down everything, right? So now Vedivyasa, he is such a great personality. He has written the Purana, the Vedas, Itihasas, a lot of scriptures. He's a great author, actually, amazing author. And in spite of having all that accredits to his life, he could have been proud, but he's not proud. When people write one book, and even if it is not a bestseller, they call themselves as a great author. But here, Vedvyasa is such a great, the king of all the authors, basically, and still he's very, very humble. That's why he's called Vinaya Vyasa. Vedvyasa is also called Vinaya Vyasa because he's very humble. He doesn't take credit for being such a great author at all. Hmm? And now the situation is, he has written all these big, big scriptures. He has written all these itihasas, Mahabharata. But deep within, somewhere there is dissatisfaction. And that dissatisfaction is an indication that we have to go deeper in life. Anytime when there is a little dissatisfaction in our life, please understand it is indicating that you are somewhere at this surface level. You dive deeper in your life, in your thinking process, in your thought process. So when you actually dive a little deeper in your life, then there is a whole spectrum of beautiful answers that will come out, which will take you out of dissatisfaction. And people somehow they keep dabbling on the surface, and they really don't want to dive deeper, and that's why the problems keep repeating, right? So whenever you're dissatisfied, the first thing that you should know is, okay, let me dive deeper. So next time when you are dissatisfied in your life, or feeling little low, morose, ask yourself that, am I supposed to dive a little deeper? When we say dive deeper, what does it mean? Immediately open up the Bhagavad Gita, just randomly, any scripture, Prabhupada books, and then you start reading, and you will see you will actually dive deeper in your consciousness. It happens. So you can try this out. Whenever you're feeling dissatisfied or low, just open any book of Prabhupada randomly and read any page. You will see there is a different perspective that you will get. And probably your dissatisfaction will have an answer there. So this is what is happening now. So he has written a lot of things, Vedvyasa, and some of that dissatisfaction is there. And Vedvyasa is one who connects the material and the spiritual world. Hmm? Just like in the circle, there is a diameter, and the diameter actually crosses through the center point, right? The diameter passes through the center point. So now this diameter actually divides the circle into two hemispheres. Huh? So similarly, Ved Vyasa is like the diameter. He is the connection between the two hemispheres, the material and the spiritual. So he is exactly that. He actually helps us to connect to the spiritual sphere. That is Vedi Vyasa. Now, what has happened is, if you try to make a circle, and if you do not have the center properly, if you displace the center point little bit, then you will not get the circles properly. Center is most important. In a circle, if you really want to have a very beautiful, nice circle, then you need to have the center point fixed. So, in our life also, we are trying to do a lot of things, but unfortunately, our center, which is Krishna, is displaced. And because Krishna is not in the center of our life has become very messy. So the first thing that we are supposed to do when we are dissatisfied, we are unhappy, is to have Krishna in the center. So when you have Krishna in the center, our life will be very, very beautiful. All that mess which is there in our mind will be gone. Right? So our dissatisfaction is because Krishna is not in the center. He is not in the center of our life. That's the problem. So when this kind of dissatisfaction is there and Vedivasa is thinking what to do, and that is when the Narad Muni, his entrance is into Srimad Bhagavatam. So Narada Muni is a perfect preacher, a perfect teacher who comes at the right time and he guides people. And this is the history of Narada Muni basically. Anytime when somebody is in confusion, problem, Narada Muni comes and he actually clarifies. So Narada Muni enters into this beautiful scene now when Vedyavasa is dissatisfied. Hmm? So Narada Muni is considered to be the spiritual master of Vedvyasa. Now, please understand, Narada Muni clearly understands that Vedvyasa is the Supreme Lord. Okay? But still, in this role as Vedvyasa, he has accepted a certain position. Okay? And that is why Narada Muni is acting like a spiritual master. But although deep within, Narada Muni knows that Vedvyasa is the Supreme Lord. This is a very important thing. That relationship between Narada Muni and Vedyavasa should be understood properly. So now our relationship now both with Krishna and devotees is very important. With Krishna, everybody wants to be with Krishna. Very natural for all of us. Everybody wants to have that bhakti towards Krishna, and this bhakti towards Krishna is a vertical relationship. And the relationship with the devotees is the horizontal relationship. So please understand, when we want to progress in spiritual life, we need to have a very strong horizontal relationship with all the devotees. Because only when you have proper relationship dealings with the devotees, then Krishna Bhakti also will progress very fast. Hmm? Now, if you are fighting or having some contentions, problems with the devotees in your horizontal relationships, then there will be a problem in the vertical relationship. Our vertical relationship will not grow. So that is why we need both. Now, in all the Puranas, the scriptures, Itihasas, Vedvyasa had explained very beautifully about the vertical relationship, about how can we connect with Krishna. All this beautifully is explained in all the Puranas. But there was no specific mention about how do devotees deal with each other. So that is where the problem was. And Narad Muni is an expert doctor. He diagnosed this whole thing. So when this particular thing was diagnosed, so Narad Muni, when he talks to Vedvyasa, he talks in a very beautiful way. He says that, okay, you have written great, great things. Huh? A lot of big, big things you have written. But still you're not satisfied. Hmm? You are still not completely free from your dissolution. So much of problem is there in your mind. This is where you need to do something different. You need to write about the great devotees. Narada Muni says to Vedvyasa. See, now Vedvyasa, although such a great author, very humbly he is saying, "Oh Narada Muni, please guide me. Please give me the correct direction so that I can come out of this problem." See this humility. So, when we are not able to take critical feedbacks, we should not ask for suggestions. If you cannot take critical feedback, we should never ask for suggestions. So here, Vedvyasa is ready to take the critical feedback. And that's why he's asking, Narada Muni, please help me. This is very important. Many times when we get little achievements, we become very puffed up. And sometimes the growth is not because of our qualities, but still we want to grow. And that growth itself becomes sometimes an impediment in our spiritual life. There's a beautiful example of Vindhya Mountains. Vindhya Mountains is a mountain which is in the middle of India. Basically, it divides the North India and South India. Vindhya Mountains. And this Vindhya Mountains, once upon a time, it started growing, and it was growing much bigger than Himalayas. And not just Himalayas, he was growing to an extent that he wanted to actually become as big as Meru Mountain. Very huge he wanted to become. And once he meets Suryadev, and he tells Suryadev that, see, I have grown so much, you better revolve around me. That was his statement to Suryadev. Suryadev said, oh, this person has become too puffed up. This Vindhya mountain has gone crazy. How dare he say like this? Then Suryadev goes and discusses with other devatas. And other devatas also see that he's growing more than required now. This much growth is not required. And all these devatas, they go to Agastya Muni, because Agastya Muni is the teacher, is the guru of India mountains. They go and see your Shishya is growing beyond limits, and he's causing a lot of problem. Just imagine, Vindhya mountains in the middle of our Bharata Bhumi. Your whole southern India would have become cold, or northern India would have gone completely cold if he had grown so much. So everything needs balance. So he was growing beyond balance now. And Agastya Muni was told, when they all went and complained to Agastya Muni, see, your student is doing all this. So that is why growth without humility, which is beyond our capacity, is not good. Today, most people today, you look at the YouTubers, they have 10 million followers. Big following they have. Millions of followers they have, but they even cannot manage 10 people in real life. So you may have a lot of growth externally, but internally you will not be able to have that capacity to guide people. And that disproportionate growth when somebody has, then it causes problem in the society. So most of these, majority of the YouTubers, they grow beyond their capacity, and later on they come stumbling down. It happens because one small mistake and people start trolling them very badly, because they cannot handle, in real life they cannot really handle that many people. It is not possible actually. It's an artificial growth. So that is what was happening to Vindhya mountain also. He was growing beyond the limit and capacity. And Agastya, he comes to Vindhya mountains. And moment he comes to Vindhya mountain, Guru has come, he pays obeisances, he pays namaskara, dandavat pranam. And then Agastya Muni blesses him and says, just remain like this until I come back. And Agastya Muni goes to South India and never comes back. And Vindhya mountain is still like that only, bent down. So that is how Vindhya mountain was controlled. So Agastya Muni never he came back again to him back and gave him again next instruction. So everything has a purpose. Growth also is required, but growth, when you grow beyond your capacity, then it can cause problem. So power is required, but if you are not able to have power, you cannot manage power, then it causes disturbance. So there are many leaders who get the power. They become chief ministers, or they become whatever minister they have to become, but they really cannot handle the power. And because they cannot handle the power, they get into mess. Many people become saints and sadhu babas. They do not have that capacity, and beyond the capacity, when they try to project themselves to be in a certain way, they fall down. That's a problem, right? So here, Vindhya mountain was doing this way, and somehow he was controlled by Agastya Muni. And Narada Muni is now saying that, okay, you have spoken about the four Purusharthas continuously in every Puranas, other scriptures, Mahabharata. You have talked about four Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. You have discussed all these things very nicely, but you have not emphasized on the deeper things, and you have overemphasized on superficial things. So Narada Muni is telling, he is in fact addressing Ved Vyasa as, "Oh Prabho," in a very sarcastic way, saying, "Oh Prabho, you have actually described all the superficial things, but the deeper things you have not emphasized only. And you are still Prabhu." Like that. He's telling you have you great ability to write, but then what is the point? The real thing you have missed out. And this is the problem in your life. So this, anyway, Vedvyasa was self-introspecting, and already he was thinking what to do next. And this is what we have to ask ourselves also. Uh, have we done something like this in our life, that we have overemphasized on all the superficial things and we have missed out on emphasizing the deeper aspects of our life? So, is this something that has happened to us also? We should ask this question to ourselves, because most of the time we may get very nicely, easily carried away by superficial things, and we might be really happy also with that. And in that happiness, we have completely forgotten that, oh, somewhere I need to emphasize on some deeper aspects of our life. Otherwise, we will remain very superficial. So we should ask this. Ask yourself, are you dissatisfied in life? And if you are dissatisfied, it's a good sign, basically. Then you can go deeper, right? And then here Narada Muni continues to say, he says that Sri Narada Uvacha Bhavatanudita Prayam Yasho Bhagavato Malam Enai Tushyete Manye Taddarshanam Khilam. So Narada Muni is saying that you have not actually broadcast the sublime, spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. And then he's saying that that philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered to be waste, is worthless. This is what Narada Muni is saying. Many, many things you have broadcasted, but the sublime, spotless glories of the personality of Godhead, Krishna, you have not mentioned that only. So, exclusive description of Krishna, that is not being told. Now, Vyasa may ask, oh, Narada, how can you say that in all the Puranas, everywhere I've described about Vishnu and Krishna very nicely? Everywhere I've described, right? But Narada Muni is saying here, you may have described about Krishna, understand. But have you described about the Brajavasis? Have you described about the Gopis? No mention about all these. Esmin tushte jagat tushte. And because you have not satisfied Krishna, that is why you are also dissatisfied. You see, when Krishna is satisfied, when his devotees are satisfied, when his devotees are glorified. The Brajavasis, nowhere in all the other Puranas you have described about the Brajavasis. You have not mentioned about any gopis only. They have done so much of seva and you have completely forgotten them. How can you be happy without this now? Right? So he understood the point. Even in our Vedic scriptures, when there is any marriage between great personalities, it is generally referred, the marriage is given a name, and that name is on the bride's name, like Rukmini Kalyana, Sita Kalyana, right? But here in South, we also have Srinivasa Kalyana. It is on the groom's name, Srinivasa Kalyana, the Lord's marriage, and that marriage is given the name of the Lord. And when Srinivasa Kalyana happened, all the various devatas, everyone came and attended the marriage party. Just imagine a very powerful marriage party it is. Now, recently, the Ambani marriage only, so many celebrities had come and it was celebrated for so many months. What a grandeur, and people were spending money so much on the marriage like this. Different level of marriage altogether. So, just imagine if here in this material world people can have this kind of marriages. Now, the Lord, Supreme Personality, Srinivasa Kalyana, he is getting married. All the devatas have come. What kind of opulence they have come in all their different spiritual planes. And when the marriage was over and there was a feast to be served, Agni himself and all the other devatas, they are actually cooking in that feast, and varieties of foodstuffs were prepared. Can you imagine all the devatas themselves are engaged in different services in Srinivasa Kalyana? Everybody is so nicely engaged, and that gave a lot of satisfaction to Krishna. Why? Because all the devotees were engaged very beautifully. And when devotees are engaged, when the devotees are also glorified, Krishna becomes very, very happy. So, if you really want to satisfy Krishna, you need to actually satisfy his devotees. And Vyasa has not done that, right? Uh, and there is a very beautiful story again. In Vrindavan, there was this elderly gopi, and she had a cow. and she used to feed a lot of elaichi to the cow. And when the cow used to give milk, it used to give elaichi flavored cow. Can you imagine? This is the beauty. Huh? Those who are really experts, even now they do this. Okay, by the way. So when you feed a cow a certain way, they feed mangoes and mango pulp and other things, and the milk actually gets that taste because the cow has this ability. Where it keeps chewing and chewing and chewing. It takes the essence of everything, and then it gives the milk finally. So this cow was giving elaichi flavored milk, and Krishna said, "Oh wow, this is amazing. So let me go and taste this." So he goes and drinks all the elaichi milk, and she becomes very angry. This elderly lady takes a stick and she starts beating Krishna. Now the funny thing is, when she beats Krishna, everybody starts feeling that pain, including that gopi. When she is hitting Krishna, she is actually getting the pain. Huh? So the point is, when you give pain to Krishna, you will also be dissatisfied. So Vedivyasa, by not describing about the Vrajavasis, he gave a little pain to Krishna that give dissatisfaction to Krishna, and because of that, even he is dissatisfied. That's why Yashmin Tushte Jagat Tushte. If you satisfy Krishna, everybody in the world is satisfied. And here Krishna has to be satisfied, but Vedivyasa has not, right? And in fact, there is one verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, I think in the second chapter, maybe you can check this out. I am not able to have this right on my top of my mind right now. Somewhere in the second chapter, when Krishna is talking to Arjuna, Krishna in the middle of the in the war of Kurukshetra, when he's instructing, he's saying this verse, Brahmistita. Brahmistita. See, Brahmastita means understandable. Brahmastita means Brahman. You can be Brahman situated. But here, Krishna is mentioning Brahmistita. That Brahmi actually refers to Radharani. Some acharyas have explained that in the middle of the war, also Krishna is thinking about Radharani. Brahmistita. So please understand, Krishna, he's always thinking. He's always thinking of the Brajavasis. He's remembering Radha even in the middle of Kurukshetra. So he's in ecstasy. That's why Srimad Bhagavatam. What is Sri Mad? Mad means madness. Sri means what? An ecstasy of Sri Radha. Sri means ecstasy of Radha. Okay. So Srimad means what? Mad means madness. Sri means Radharani. Srimad Bhagavatam means it is an ecstasy of Radha. The Srimad Bhagavatam is completely an ecstasy of Radha. Huh? So this ecstasy was missed out in other Puranas. And that is why Narada Muni is saying that you have to talk about Radharani, you have to talk about, and even in Srimad Bhagavatam, directly it is not spoken about Radharani. Indirectly, it is mentioned in the 10th canto. We will come to that point later. So here Narada Muni says, Yadvachaschitra padam harer yasho jagat pavitram pragrinita karhichit tad vyasam tirtam ushanti manasa nayatra hamsa niramantu shikshaya. He's saying, Narada is telling those words which does not describe the glories of Lord. Huh? The glories of Lord actually can purify the atmosphere, the whole universe. But if you are not any words which does not describe this, and people are gathering to listen to something which is very mundane, it is only an assembly or pilgrimage of crows. Narada Muni is saying. A lot of these political talks happen. People gather and they do yapping about so many unwanted things other than Krishna. Narada Muni is saying it's only a place of crows. It's a pilgrimage of crows. Because all these inhabitants of Krishna's abode are very transcendental. They always give pleasure. But anything other than Krishna, it is only an assembly of crows. Then he continues to say, Narada Muni is saying, Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Prati Shlokam Abhadvati Api Namani Anantasya Shontikani Ankitani Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhavaha. So, on the contrary, if you write a literature full of descriptions about Krishna's glories, name, fame, form, pastimes, unlimited thing, then what will happen is, even if you compose it incorrectly. Even if you compose them incorrectly, such a literature should be completely understood to be perfect, because it can completely transform, it can create a revolution in heart. So that's why Prabhupada, when he's writing the Bhagavad Gita also, he says that from the Sanskrit point of view, there might be some mistakes in the Bhagavad Gita, but it is spoken from the heart. That's why it is called Bhagavad Gita as it is, because the intent of the Bhagwan is maintained. That's why it's called Bhagavad Gita as it is. The intention is properly understood. Although Sanskrit wise, grammatical wise, there might be some mistakes that we should be ignored, and that is what Narada is saying here. Some descriptions, even if it is imperfectly composed, don't worry, but if it is describing the Supreme Lord, then it has to be considered very purifying. This is honest feedback. And then Narada Muni is also saying, in the learned circles, it is positively concluded that infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerity, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of the hymns, and charity, it all culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in choicest poetry. Just see, all this charity we give, do big tapasya, chanting of the Vedas, sacrifices, everything culminates in the proper descriptions of the Lord. That's why when we are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, you achieve everything. That's why there's a falashruti. As you're listening now to the Srimad Bhagavatam, you are actually getting a certain falashruti. Just by listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, certain specific things are bestowed upon us, to the speaker as well as to the listeners. So Srimad Bhagavatam is always bestowing something very important to all of us. So in 2004, um, in Bhuvaneshwar, there is this very beautiful temple of Kapileshwar Mahadev. Kapileshwar Mahadev is a Shiva temple in Bhuvaneshwar, and every year they organize Srimad Bhagavad Gita for 9 days. This is a system there, 9 days Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So in 2004, it so happened that when this was organized, Bhagavad Gita, one huge, very big, bulky bull, it comes in the Bhagavad arena where the Bhagavatam was happening, in the big bundle that was there. A very massive, it's not like an ordinary small bull, it's a very big bull that comes into this arena, and everybody is trying to shoo it away, push it away. It's not moving at all, it is just there. And they all got tired, and the speaker said, "It's okay, let it be, it's not disturbing anyway, let it be there." And they started the Bhagavata, and it heard the Bhagavata. This bull came and it heard the Bhagavata. It came the next day also, right time, and it heard the Bhagavata for all the 9 days. And everybody there who is coming, people were so astonished to see this bull. What was spoken in the Bhagavata, they all forgot, but everybody was talking only about this bull. Oh, this bull is coming every day, and it became a big news. And this bull came the next year also, at the same time when the Bhagavata was happening. The point is that how that even uh, animals, they take interest, they take pleasure in listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we just don't know who are these people, where these different living entities they come, how they actually inspire all of us. It is a big mystery. So that is why Bhagavad Gita should always happen. We don't know, even here somebody who is listening online, somebody on StreamYard, somebody on YouTube, you may have come for the first time, you may be just listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, but the benefit is it purifies our heart. So now, when Narada Muni gave this all description, he says that, see, this is what the main point is. You have to now focus on writing the glories of Krishna specifically and his devotees, and only then you will be satisfied. And Narada Muni says that ultimately everything culminates in this descriptions of the Lord. The Krishna Katha is the most purifying. And you now describe the Krishna Katha, and he's saying that all the problems can be solved by Krishna Katha, and this is my personal experience. So Narada Muni start describing about his own life now. He's telling that how I was in a small place with my mother, and I was just a 5-year-old boy. And during Chaturmasya, some great saints, the Bhakti Vedantas, They all were traveling, and during the rainy season, Chaturmasya, they stayed back in our place. And I was a little boy. And as a little boy, I started serving them. And because of those saints, I became a great devotee. I heard all the beautiful kathas from the great sages, and I become purified. So Narada Muni is telling that how he's also telling that I had a certain qualities that helped me actually understand and serve this Bhakti Vedantas better. So what was the quality of this Narada Muni? Narada Muni says, first thing is, I was very humble. I was never a naughty boy, and I was not whiling away my time in some frivolous sports. He's very clearly stating he's not with video games or he's not playing some other games outside. No, Narada Muni was not at all interested in all of these things. And he was very humble. And once it so happened that, anyway, his mother was serving all the Bhakti Vedantas. Once, with the permission of the Bhakti Vedantas, Narada Muni said, "Can I eat the remnants of your food stuff?" And he took the permission and he took the remnants of these Bhakti Vedantas and ate that prasadam of Mahaprasadam of all these Bhakti Vedantas, the great sages. So that actually gave him lot of purity, and with great attention he was listening to these Bhakti Vedantas as he was serving them. And unfortunately, after the Chaturmasya was done, all these Bhakti Vedantas, they leave the place. And then Narada Muni was once just doing his regular activity, and their mother, she gets bitten by the snake and she dies. She passes away. Now, Narada Muni is all alone in his life. Nobody in his life. All put together. Small child. Can you imagine? Uh, uh, with that, his quest began. He started his quest of real deep meaning of life. Narada Muni, he began his journey because he had heard so much from these Bhakti Vedantas. So the quest began. So the quest, Quest, right? So the very first thing was in his life that he took the guidance of great people. See, if you have to become a guru, you first have to be a shishya. Okay, and that is how Guru Parampara that continues. So Narada Muni is now instructing Ved Vyasa because he had a guru in his life previously. He had guide. So each one of us, like today's session, the whole thing is about what? It's about taking right guidance, having some mentors in your life. And I've mentioned this earlier also. The great leaders in today's world, you'll see all of them, they will have mentors. Not just mentors, they'll have board of mentors. Mentors for spirituality, mentors for business, mentors for sports, many things, right? So each one of us, we all need some mentor in our life. We need guides in our life so that our life will get some direction. Without direction, we will be lost. So Narad Muni, the Q stands for actually having the proper guidance. And Narad Muni had a great guidance from all these Bhakti Vedantas. So this is very special. This is the first thing that we should learn. And now there is a big calamity. Quest, right? U stands for urgency. Now, there was a big calamity because the mother passed away. And in our life also, there will be some emergencies that will come, some urgencies that will come. And these calamities are actually to help you to take spiritual life urgently. Otherwise, we will just casually go in, right? If we really want to progress, then calamities are required in our life. That's why Krishna gives us some calamities, some problems in life, so that we take spiritual life very urgently. Hmm? And that is how Narada Muni's mother passed away with the snake bite, and he took very seriously. That was an urgent situation that has come now, right? Then Q is for guides, E for urgency, and then E stands for exploration. Narada Muni said, "Enough. Anyway, now I am all alone. Let me go to the north." And he started walking. Complete his yatra, padiyatra started towards the north. And people find spiritual life very difficult and very risky also because of these reasons. In the olden days, this is how people had no commute, everybody, no flights, no trains, no transportation, and people used to have risk while traveling to any dham yatras because no facilities were there. What to speak of facilities? Even now, when if you're all alone, you go to a new place and you have no people around you at all, then you can imagine you will have fear. Now you can imagine the situation of Narada Muni. At a young age, he's traveling all alone without any visa, without any passport, without any money, and he's traveling. How much problem he must have faced. Hmm? So he takes up this challenge. So it is a risk actually sometimes. But for Krishna, we need to take that risk. Hmm? So many times for people attending this 1 hour session also is risk because they'll say, oh, for 1 hour I need to be away from my social media, I need to be away from my phone. That itself is a big risk today in Kali Yuga. So Prabhu ji ka class sunna hai, अरे बाप रे, I have 1 hour I cannot even use my social media. So people have so much of attachment to all these things. Huh? So actually one should travel. I have told this before also. In Canada, there is a saying: if you want to become a knowledgeable person, you have to read books and you have to travel. Kosha odu desha suttu they say. So we need to travel. So Narada Muni anyway, he's blessed to travel across the three worlds. Always he's traveling, Narada Muni. So and we should travel in such a way that we depend on Krishna, not on our currency. Many people travel today. Many people they travel, but they have full confidence on the currency. Oh yes, I have a lot of money. I'll be able to manage myself. No, this is not what we are talking about. We are talking about traveling depending on Krishna and not on our currency. So exploration. We need to explore. We need to have this ability to explore. Don't remain in one place. You should also explore. Keep your mind busy with learning new things, explore new things, spiritual life. Okay. And then S stands for study. Now Narada Muni, he walked all the way up till Himalayas and he found a very beautiful tree, and under the tree he sat, and then he started meditating on the study that was given to him by the Bhakti Vedantas. He has studied a lot of things under the guidance of these Bhakti Vedantas, and he started doing pranayama and meditation. And deep within the meditation, he just did as per the instructions of the Bhakti Vedanta, and tears started flowing in his eyes, and he had the darshan of the Paramatma within the heart. And having the darshan, he was in ecstasy. Narada Muni, he was so excited, and he just got a glimpse of that. He just got a trailer, and then Lord said, "If you want more, then you have to do more tapasya." Just see, this is what Krishna does to all of us. He gives us a little glimpse, and then he goes away, and he makes us run behind him for more and more. So Narada Muni also got this beautiful darshan, and he was told that you need to do more sadhana. So, trailer, each one of us today, when you are listening to this katha, and I am speaking, and many others who are listening, please understand we are all here today because there is a certain reciprocation that we have received from Krishna in some point of time in our life. And that's why we are here to know more about him. We have got a glimpse of Krishna's reciprocation. Now we want more from him. And that's why we are here. Okay. So so study goes on, and he was all doing it as per the guidance of the Bhakti Vedantas. And T, Quest. Uh, so T stands for trust, and he saw the Lord in the heart, and this is all what we need. We all have to see Krishna sometimes in our life, and that's the goal and objective actually of Srimad Bhagavatam study also. So he saw the trailer. He saw the trailer. Now he wanted to have the movie, and with the trust that yes, Krishna is going to guide him more and more, so that he qualifies himself to see Krishna. So we all need to qualify ourselves to see Krishna. So this is the process. By listening more and more about Krishna, we qualify, and one day Krishna will come and give us darshan. So Narada Muni, after his lifetime, he gets merged into the during the pralaya. He gets merged into the Mahat Tattva, and then when again the creation happens by Brahma, and then Brahma. He creates this Manasaputra Narada Muni. So Narada Muni again comes back as a Manasaputra of Brahmaji. Okay, so why this is being told here? Because Narada Muni is telling that I have been benefited by the glorification of Krishna. I always constantly chant the names of Krishna. And Ved Vyasa, you need to do the same thing. Please understand. This is the real wealth. Krishna Nama, Krishna Bhakti is the real wealth in our life. Rest everything really doesn't matter. Everything is temporary, it comes and goes. What really remains with us is Krishna Bhakti. This is the real wealth. And I'll just end with the last story um, of Yamunacharya. Yamunacharya, very great Acharya, he talks to the devotee, to the Lord, and he is telling to the Lord, Ranganatha, he is saying that you are my real wealth. Yamunacharya is telling to Lord, you are my real wealth. Now Krishna says, how can I be your wealth? Huh? If you want some land, you need money, right? If you want to buy some land, purchase some land, you need money. But how can I be your wealth? You please tell me. Then Yamunacharya is saying, oh my Lord, you just see, uh, just by your feet, you acquired and took away all the land and property from Bali Maharaj, right? So you are actually wealth. Why should I buy land when you are there with me? All the three planetary system, everything belongs to you only, and you covered everything. Everything belongs to you. So you are my real wealth. You took everything from Bali Maharaj. Oh, Krishna saw to be a very intelligent fellow, Yamunacharya. He knows everything. Then Krishna is asking you again, okay, land is okay, I understand. But what about managing emergencies? There are a lot of emergency situations in life that time you need wealth, you need money. Then Yamunacharya is again saying, oh my lord, your feet is enough. They are assured of overcoming all the difficulties. You look at during COVID also, people had money, but did money save their life? So many people had a lot of money, but in spite of having money, people still they could not protect their life. Having money, that means money cannot really protect our life. Please understand. In fact, money itself can bring a lot of problems in our life. Money is like that. Money has two qualities. You know, it should help you buy something whenever you want, whenever you desire, and money should be able to solve your problems in life, some crisis. If it is not able to do these two things, then what is the problem? What is the use of having money? Many times there are so many things that you desire, but you have less money. You cannot buy. And other times there is money, but you cannot solve the life problems, like COVID time. Money is there, but you really cannot solve the problems. Just see. So he is saying that, oh my lord, Lakshmi Devi, who is actually always pressing your feet, she is called Dhanya, because she is holding your feet all the time. So why should I actually worry? Any times of any emergency, Lakshmi Devi will be there because I am your devotee. Lakshmi will always protect me. So the point is, the real wealth in our life is Krishna, because if Krishna is there, Lakshmi Devi will automatically be there. So Narada Muni is telling us just focus on Krishna. That's it. Everything else will fall in place, right? So Lakshmi Mataji is saying here, yes, Prabhuji, by the divine grace and mercy, got a glimpse in meditation, and that's how a spiritual journey became very, 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 very strong. Hari Bol. So this is her realization. So many times when we are getting proper guidance, when we are having a proper understanding, right knowledge, hmm, we will be able to have that feeling of ecstasy in our life. And this is exactly what we want through these studies. This study is actually to bring in that transformation, for you to feel that ecstasy in Krishna Bhakti. This is the whole thing. And the whole Srimad Bhagavatam study is in the form that we are going to discuss in the form of stories. And today's practical application is that it is so important to actually have guides. So each one of us, uh, please seek guidance. And seeking guidance is not a sign of weakness. You please, we might be in different positions, big positions. Still, we need to have proper guidance. We need to seek guidance from others. And that is how we grow. So, all of you and those who are coming for the first time also, you need to have someone in your life where you can go and open up your heart and seek guidance, because somewhere in life we all have gone through the phase of dissatisfaction. So if you really want to come out of it, then you need to explore. You need to have that quest. Hmm? So like Narada Muni. So now Sutta Goswami is explaining this, by the way. Okay, this whole thing is about how Sutta Goswami is explaining to the sages of Naimisharanya, and he has now brought in Narada Muni into the picture, and he is setting the context of why Vedyvyasa was dissatisfied. And now, what Vedyvyasa does next, that we will understand in the next session. But if you have any questions, any doubts, those who are listening on YouTube as well as on stream here, you can feel free to ask questions. Any questions? Let me check. Anything that you want to ask or share? All right. So thank you very much for joining. Next Sunday, we will continue from where we have left this Srimad Bhagavatam. We will see how Ved Vyasa is now taking us to a beautiful journey of different pastimes of Krishna. So there are many beautiful things to be described. Please take. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Hare